let's transition to some NBA, and let's talk about Giannis and the Bucks. As the Bucks entered the NBA return with the NBA's best record at 53-12. They have the second best odds to win the NBA championship behind the LA Lakers. Giannis went on record this week and he said, quote, "This will be the toughest championship you could ever win." So my question for you is, Clarence, do you agree with Giannis that this will be the toughest championship a player could ever win?
I actually agree, because I just feel like that the players been off for like 3 months and they've been working out, they've been getting healthy, they've been getting back in NBA form, hell, mid-season form. And I honestly believe that the players that's competing in this bubble and this playoffs, they're going to play hard. These last 8 games, these are going to be probably the toughest 8 games. I've stated this before. The toughest 8 games that these teams got to go through, because if one team losing, they going to feel like, oh, man, we in the back of the bus. But every player, every team that's playing in these 8 games, these are must-win games, man. These are must-win games, so they can, in order to be at the top of the playoff hunt, man. And I'm saying this for Giannis. There's no easy run for him in this Eastern Conference. Like, you got the Celtics, and now Victor Oladipo, he opted out to not play in Orlando, so that's good. You ain't got to worry about the Pacers. Then you got a young Toronto team that's coming back. They're the world champs. Gotta respect that. They're the world champs. Then you got another team, the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So it's kind of tough in the Eastern Conference, and I think this is tough because everybody's gonna be healthy, and they're gonna be wanting to play. Like, simple as that.
Oh, stop it. The Eastern Conference ain't tough. The only team that I believe is going to give the Bucks legitimate competition is the Boston Celtics. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, they inconsistent. The Raptors, I don't think they have no legitimate star player that they can give the ball to in those clutch moments and say, take me to the promised land. I like Siakam. I think he got a lot of promise. But do I think Siakam can carry the Raptors on a deep playoff run? I do not. So, therefore, I don't believe in anybody in the Eastern Conference besides the Celtics or the Bucks for that matter. But to answer the question here, I say it again.
What about the Heat?
I like the Miami Heat, but I still think they one more piece away. They one more piece away. I don't think they're quite there yet. There were reports earlier in the season that they're thinking about making a run at Victor Oladipo. So we'll see what happens if Oladipo takes his talents to South Beach and teams up with Jimmy Butler and the Heat. But I disagree with Giannis here, and I'm going to tell you why. I believe that the fact that because the players are going to be in this bubble, I believe it's going to help their chances as far as being able to win a championship because they'll be able to stay focused. You don't have to worry about traveling. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about going coast to coast. I believe the fact that you're going to be in this bubble, it's only so much you can do. Therefore, your mind is going to be primarily focused on winning basketball games. There will be no distractions. There will be no travel obligations. I believe it's going to make you want to focus and zero in on winning a championship because you in this bubble. You can't go nowhere. Like, and while you're in the bubble, there are things that you can do. You can go golfing. The bars and restaurants are going to be available to the players that want to use those bars and restaurants and be able to use those services. I believe the fact that you're going to be in the bubble, I believe superstar players like Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, LeBron James, James Harden, it will give them an opportunity to focus. You ain't got to worry about going to the club late at night and staying out till 3, 4 in the morning. You're going to get used to that bed that you're going to be sleeping in for 3 months. If your team is on a long playoff run, you'll get used to that bed that you've been sleeping in for the last 3 months. And one more thing I want to say. You got to remember, all of these players just got 5 months off. They are going to be healed and ready to go. See, when we talk about the NBA season, we always talk about it being a marathon, not a sprint. Clarence, when they return to the bubble in Orlando, this will be an all-out sprint. It will be a sprint, and it's going to be over quick, fast, and in a hurry. Therefore, I don't believe it's going to be the toughest championship any player will ever win. I think it's going to be easier than Giannis thinks.
Nah, man, I definitely agree with him because everybody gonna want it. Everybody's gonna be hungry for the winning the championship. Everybody wants it, Trey. But you gotta understand. Yes, they've been off for a very long time. They got enough time to heal from their injuries, probably hell, maybe surgeries, or maybe just been sitting around, just been working out, training, getting in basketball for it. I specifically think that they are going to be it's going to be a tough road go get a championship because at the same time, you got players that wasn't healthy in the beginning. Now they are healthy, and now players that's gonna be wanting more. And there's gonna be some teams that not even gonna have 4-day players because they decided to opt out the play. So for the Western Conference, it's gonna benefit them, and for the Eastern Conference, it slightly will because you don't got to worry. The Bucks don't really got no seriously contenders to worry about like the Boston Celtics or Miami Heat or hell even the Sixers. Man, we don't know how these teams are now, but we hoping what's for the best for them though.
But even Mike Budenholzer, the head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks, he said a few weeks ago that the break and the shutdown helped Giannis because if you remember, Clarence, before the shutdown that weekend when the Lakers played the Bucks on Friday and they played the Clippers on Sunday. On that Friday night, you remember Giannis got injured. It was a scare. You got to go look it up. He had one of those injuries that could have been, a year, basically an entire year off. Like it could have been a catastrophic injury, but he lucked up and he caught a break. And Mike Budenholzer went on record saying that if they would have went right into the playoffs, it's a possibility that Giannis might have missed a few games. That's why I believe this 5-month break that these players have is going to benefit them once we get to Orlando. That's why they have the 8 games in place before the postseason takes place, because they're going to have an opportunity to get back in shape, get back in basketball shape, and gear up for the postseason. So I ultimately feel like being in the bubble will help these players remain focused because you can't go outside the bubble. And also, it's going to give some players a chance to get a break from reality, period. Like you'll be able to get a mental break, whether or not, even if you have a family or you might need 3 months is a long time to be away from your family though. But if you need to get away for a few months, hell, some of these teams, Clarence, not even going to be in a bubble for an entire month. Some of these teams are going to be going home. The Wizards, they'll be going home early. The Nets will be going home early. It's a few of these teams that won't be in the bubble very long. I think Phoenix, they're going to be in the bubble as well. They won't be there not even a whole month. So some of these teams won't even be in the bubble very long at all.
So I have a question. Do you believe it will be an asterisk next to this year's NBA champion?
I do believe it'll be an asterisk next to whoever wins this NBA championship, but I believe it will only be an asterisk made, like we'll only look at that asterisk as far as being something that really, really contributed to who won the NBA championship based on whether or not a superstar gets injured. So if Kawhi Leonard gets injured for the Clippers, that's not going to win. I hope he doesn't. Then I believe that you have to take consideration if Kawhi was playing, the Clippers' chances of winning the NBA championship would increase. So, and it decreases without him. So I believe if none of the stars get injured, I believe we're going to look back and say whoever won that championship in 2020, they were the champions. Hey, remember back in 2000 when the Spurs won the championship? I think it was the 99-2000 season. When the Spurs won a championship against the New York Knicks, I didn't even know, Clarence, for a long time that was a lockout season. That was the year after Jordan won his 6th championship against Utah. This was the following year when the Spurs met the Knicks, and the Knicks were the 8th seed, and Tim Duncan and the Spurs won their championship. That was a lockout year. Nobody talks about Tim Duncan only having 4 championships. They talk about him having 5 championships. We're going to talk about Tim Duncan a little bit later on the show as well, but I just think it'll be an asterisk because, just based off the fact that there were unusual circumstances, but I think we're only going to make it bigger and go deeper into it unless a star gets hurt. If a star doesn't get injured, I think we'll be just fine. Yeah, what you think?
I think it will. I've been reading up on it, like, yeah, I think it might be one because, like, just pointing to the fact that players are sitting out, and there's just so much going on. Like, I think it will be. I think it will be one because just the simple fact that some of these players has opted to not to play in this season for their own personal reason, and to me, it probably won't be feeling the same way I feel about basketball, like October and stuff. So it's gonna be a different feeling. It's gonna be a different feeling when we watching it in like July and trying to transition our mind to like, hey man, it's 8 games left in this season, and we just try to see who's going to make the playoffs and who's who's going on. Like you always stated the obvious, like the Wizards, hell, even the Suns, the least teams that's be going home soon. So I agree with you 100% there. But it just goes. It's gonna have a different feeling though. It's definitely gonna be a different feeling in there, Mr. Larkins.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to say: when the NBA shut down, Adam Silver, the commissioner for the NBA, announced that the season was going to be postponed, not canceled. Therefore, I believe it was some of these NBA players' job to stay in shape and ready for when the time comes when the NBA season resumes. And I think players like LeBron James and players like Giannis, they're going to still be in shape, ready to rock and roll once we start the season back at the end of July. And that's one of the main things I always appreciated about LeBron, Clarence, because LeBron always stayed in tip-top shape and was always one of those players who motor simply just doesn't run out. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna give you an example and go back to 2016 NBA Finals. Game 7. You remember Warriors Cavs going nip and tuck, fourth quarter. No team has been able to score. It's going back and forth. And you remember that the Warriors, they had a fast break. Andre Iguodala almost had a layup, and LeBron ran literally from one side of the court to the other side of the court in literally about 3 to 4 seconds. That is literally conditioning. I'm not giving up. This is an important part of this game, and I'm going to go all out to stop Andre Iguodala on this layup attempt. That is conditioning at its finest. I think LeBron James will be ready to go come late July, but I don't think they're going to win a championship.